Now, let's start limit state of collapse in torsion. Till now we have discussed how to design the beams for flexure, and then we have discussed how to design the beam for shear. Now we are going to start the limit state of collapse in torsion. If the torsion is coming into the picture, how we should design the beams. Now we are going to start the limit state of collapse in torsion. If the torsion is coming into the picture, how we should design the beams. So our next chapter is the limit state of collapse in torsion. Now we are going to start the very important topic, limit state of collapse. So, now we can see here the limit state of collapse in torsion. If the torsion is coming in the beam, now we should design the beam for torsion. So let's see when the torsion actually comes into the picture. Suppose there is a one beam and there is a beam to beam connection and there is a eccentricity. So if the load is coming due to this beam, suppose this is the beam number B. Suppose this cantilever portion is the beam number B, and this is suppose your beam number A. Should the beam B will be designed for bending moment, for cantilever bending moment, because the beam B is getting the bending moment, right? But if I talk about the beam A, that means it will apply one torsional moment. If this is your main beam and this is your suppose one more beam, lateral beam you have provided, and what I'm going to do here, in this case, I will apply the load suppose. So definitely this beam will try to rotate about this beam. So definitely this beam will be suffering the problem of torsion, and the value of torsion, the torsional moment will be acting at this location only, and it is actually equal to P into E. At this location actually, at this junction of these two beams, the torsional moment is acting at this particular point. But if I talk about this case where it is a cantilever slab we have provided, generally we provide the cantilever slab for the balcony in our buildings. In the multi-story buildings, you people have seen the balconies are generally the cantilever slabs. So the beam provided with the balcony are getting the same problem. Here I was getting the torsional moment at the particular node. Node means at this junction of these two beams. But here you can see the whole slab, the complete slab will be applying the uniform torsion throughout the span of the beam. So here I am getting the torsional moment everywhere along the span of the beam. So this beam is suffering now the problem of torsion. So this beam should be designed for bending moment due to the self weight as well as the torsional moment coming due to the weight of the slab. Right. So in this way the torsion acts on the beams. Now how to design these beams? So let's start the design of beams considering the effect of torsion. So very interesting topic, and generally many times people have asked in the GATE examination to calculate the equivalent shear force, equivalent bending moment, and the other question they have also asked from this torsion chapter. Then that questions today we will discuss here. All the questions asked in the previous years based on the torsion we will be discussing today now. So here what we generally do, we do not go for any other calculation. We calculate the equivalent shear force considering the effect of torsion. We calculate the equivalent bending moment considering the effect of torsion. We calculate two things. First we calculate the equivalent shear force considering the effect of torsion, and then we calculate the equivalent bending moment considering the effect of torsion. So let's see how to calculate equivalent shear force. So here I can write the formula for equivalent shear force. The equivalent shear force is actually, it is also the factored value. This equivalent shear force is also the factored value if you are using the limit state method. So V equivalent equal to VU plus 1.6 torsional moment divided by width of beam. Here the B is the width of beam, TU is the factored torsional moment, VU is the applied shear force. This VU is the normal shear force due to the dead load and the live load or any other imposed type of load. VU is the shear force due to the dead load and the live load or any other imposed type of the load, and TU is the torsional moment. So here I can say this 1.6 TU by B is the shear force, due to the torsion, and this complete is your equivalent shear force due to the dead load, live load as well as the torsional moment. Right. So here I am going to write the VU is the shear force, factored shear force due to self weight and live load. TU is the factored torsional moment. B is the width of beam. Right? So in this way I calculate equivalent shear force, and here I can write 1.6 TU by B is the shear force due to torsional moment TU. Right? This is the shear force. 1.6 TU divided by B is the shear force due to the torsional moment, and this VU is the shear force due to the dead load and the live load. So if I add both the shear forces, I will be getting the equivalent shear force, which is considering the effect of torsion in the beam. Now let's calculate the equivalent bending moment. I know how to calculate equivalent shear force. I have calculated equivalent shear force here. Let's calculate equivalent bending moment. Equivalent bending moment. So here I can calculate the equivalent bending moment, and the formula is M equivalent is equal to MU plus TU into 1 plus D by B divided by 1.7. The formula is there, MU plus TU into 1 plus D by B divided by 1.7. So here I can write mu is the bending moment due to dead load and live load. Tu is the torsional moment. These all are factored. I can write here factored. Factored torsional moment. And D is the gross depth. B is same width of beam. So in this way, I can calculate the equivalent bending moment, mu equivalent. So these all the values are used in the further calculations. All the formula of limit state of collapse in flexure and all the formula of limit state of collapse in shear can be used only by replacing the value of mu by mu equivalent and vu by vu equivalent. For example, I want to calculate area of reinforcement. I know my formula, that is 0.5 FCK by Fy and something. In that formula, mu generally I use. In that formula, by replacing the mu by mu equivalent, there I will be putting the total bending moment, the equivalent bending moment, and I can calculate the AST. Suppose I want to calculate the shear stresses, nominal stresses, which is equal to tau equal to Vu by Bd. Nominal shear stress, tau equal to Vu by Bd. So what is your Vu? Vu generally I take the design shear force. Here, what I am going to do, I will be putting the value of equivalent shear force. I will not be taking a value of Vu there. If the torsion is coming, I will be taking the value of Vu equivalent. Means all the formula of limit state of collapse in flexure and all the formula of limit state of collapse in shear can be used only by replacing the value of mu and Vu by their respective equivalent values. Right? So let's solve problems based on this formula. So this is the limit state of collapse in torsion. Please see your PPT. We will solve problem based on this. The question is, get 2004 for 2 mark. Get 2004 for 2 mark. Please see the question, your PPT. Somebody, Vinay, is asking what is the meaning of factored. Factored means we are taking the factor of safety 1.5 in the loads. In the limit state of collapse or in the limit state method, we take the factor of safety for the load is 1.5. If the load is coming, suppose 100 kilonewton, I will be designing the member for 150 kilonewton, means considering the factor of safety 1.5. So that 150 is called factored load and the 100 is called service load or working load. I am again repeating, I will be taking the value of factor of safety is 1.5. Suppose the load is coming 100 kilonewton, I will be designing the member for 150 kilonewton. So 100 kilonewton is called the working load or the service load, and that 150 kilonewton is generally called factored load because you have multiplied by 1.5. You have considered the factor of safety. That is why that 150 is called factor of safety. So let's solve the problem. So very interesting, very easy problem actually. They have given all the values and we can calculate the equivalent shear force. Right? Please read the question. See the given question, get 2004, 2 marks. They have given me the values. I can write the values here. The shear force they have given me, the value of shear force they have given me is 20 kilonewton. And the torque means the torsional moment they have given me 9 kilonewton meter. The value of moment gross depth they have given D equal to 425 mm and the width they have given 300 mm. Width they have given 300 mm. Right? Let's solve the problem. The problem is the equivalent shear force is. The question for the 2 mark in the GATE 2004 is calculate the equivalent shear force VC is. Can you calculate the equivalent shear force? Yes, we can calculate. The formula is known to me. VU they have given 20 plus 1.6. Torsion moment given me. It is 9. And the width I know is 300 mm. And I am putting the width in meter 0.3. So here I am getting 20 plus the value is 48. So the total shear force means the equivalent shear force is 68 kilonewton. Right? The total shear force, the equivalent shear force is a 68 kilonewton. Let's say solve means the answer is D. Answer I can write here. Answer is D. Let's say solve this problem. The problem is next problem. For the same question, 2 questions there for the same data. There are the 2 questions. The first question was calculate the equivalent shear force, and now the second question is calculate the equivalent bending moment. Right? In the question, suppose they are not given equivalent. Suppose they are not given factored, but actually it is a factored. Consider it to be factored. They should have written actually it is a mistake. We can call it a mistake or the some problem is there. There is a problem. They should have written there the factored values. Because this formula is based on the limit state. In the limit state we have factored the values. All the values should be factored. So we can write here. Suppose they are not writing factored. So what we are going to do here, whatever the value we are getting here, 68. If you are matching, then it is okay. If you are not matching, we will multiply by 1.5. For design purpose, I will be considering 1.5 factor of safety in the limit state. No, right now no need to multiply by 1.5. Somebody is asking, should we multiply by 1.5? No, right now no need to multiply by 1.5. If you multiply by 1.5, you will not get the answer. If you multiply 68 by 1.5, your answer should be 102. And there is no option in the question. So answer is D, 68 kilonewton. In the limit state method, definitely we will be using the factored values. See, in the question they have mentioned at the limit state of collapse. That means they should have given the factored values. But suppose they are not giving, at the last we can multiply here by 1.5 if the answers are not matching. But right now answers are matching. If the answers are matching, so I do not need to multiply by a factor of safety. Right? So let's calculate the equivalent bending moment. An equivalent bending moment is, I know the formula. So 200 plus 9 into 1 plus D they have given 425, which is the gross depth, divided by 300 mm whole divided by 1.7. Right? So let's calculate the value and give me answer. So answer I am getting here 212.8 kilonewton meter. So in the option they have given me answer D, 213. So I can take the value 213. It is nearly equal to 213. So my answer is 213 kilonewton meter. In the last line of the question they have given the equivalent nominal shear tau V is calculated by using something that we are going to discuss now. We will see how to design. See here we can see we are going to use this value 68 kilonewton as equivalent shear force, and we are going to use 213 kilonewton meter as equivalent bending moment in designing the beam. Right? Considering this 213 kilonewton meter, we can design the beam. For this bending moment, we can design the beam and we can provide the reinforcement. It's a longitudinal reinforcement we can provide considering this moment. But suppose I want to design the equivalent shear, I want to design the stirrups, I want to design the shear reinforcement in my beam. So how to design the shear reinforcement considering this 68 kilonewton that we will see now. Then your picture will be clear, and on this on that concept we will solve some problems also. So let's start. Design of shear stirrups. We know how to design the shear stirrups. Till now we have considered only the shear force. If I know the shear force, I can design my stirrups. I know the concept. I can calculate tau v is equal to VU by B, VU by BD. First of all, I check the three cases I have. Suppose tau v is less than tau c, I will be providing minimum shear reinforcement. If suppose tau v is greater than tau c, I will be designing my shear stirrups. If suppose tau v is greater than tau c max, so I will redesign my section. These cases I know, and in this way I can design my shear stirrups. But suppose the torsion is coming into the picture, then how to design the shear stirrups? That we are going to discuss now. So here you can write design of shear stirrups considering torsion. Right? See, first of all I need to calculate equivalent shear stresses. So equivalent shear stress is equal to VU equivalent divided by BD. Right? Here tau v equivalent will be equal to VU by BD. So equivalent will be, I will be putting the equivalent value of the shear force divided by BD. And I know VU equivalent is equal to VU plus 1.6 TU by B. So from there I can calculate VU equivalent and I can calculate TV equivalent, means equivalent shear force, equivalent shear stresses. Now we will see tau c. Tau c is the shear strength of concrete. We know the shear strength of concrete without providing the shear stirrups. It depends on grade of concrete and as well as the percentage of AST. Right? Depends upon the grade of concrete as well as depends upon the percentage AST provided in the longitudinal, provided in the tension zone. This is the percentage of longitudinal reinforcement provided in the tension zone. So see, this percentage AST, I have calculated, suppose MU equivalent. I have calculated MU equivalent and I got the answer in the previous problem. I got the answer 213 kilonewton meter. So what I will do, if I want to design the beam, so I will be designing the reinforcement for this moment. I know my formula AST equal to 0.5 FCK divided by FY into 1 minus under root 1 minus 4.6 MU into 10 to the power 6 divided by FCK BD square into BD. This is the formula to calculate area of reinforcement in the flexure. But here right now I will not be using value of MU. Here I will be using equivalent value of MU, means equivalent bending moment. So in this way I calculate area of reinforcement considering the effect of torsion in the beam. So whatever the AST you have provided in the beam, that AST, for that particular AST, what is the percentage of AST you have provided, that AST I can calculate. Right? Suppose this AST is coming, or you have provided this AST, say 4000 mm square. So 4000 mm square divided by BD in 200, this will be my percentage AST. Right? So tau c I know it depends on the grade of concrete and the percentage AST. This percentage AST is calculated using this formula. In this formula, I will be using MU equivalent. I will not be using actual MU. I will be using M equivalent bending moment. Right? Yeah, we will take break in 5-10 minutes. We will complete this, then we will take a break. So let me continue, please. So in this way I can calculate your tau c. Now we will see. This is the way how I calculate tau v equivalent. So here case number first. I know how to calculate tau c now. I know how to calculate tau v equivalent now. Let's discuss the case first. Case first is suppose the case is suppose tau v equivalent is less than tau c. Whatever the shear strength of concrete, if the shear strength of concrete is greater than the shear stresses, equivalent shear stresses, so we need to provide minimum shear reinforcement. Same minimum shear reinforcement. So same formula, ASV divided by BSV is greater than equal to 0.4 divided by 0.87 FY. Right? This is the case first. This is a normal case. Already we have discussed when we have designed the stirrups without considering the effect of torsion. Right? please note down. Then we will see the case number 2, if tau v equivalent is greater than tau c. Now the second case, case number 2 is, if tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, means whatever the shear stresses are coming, that are more than the shear strength of concrete, then what I am going to do here, I will design the shear reinforcement. I will be designing the shear reinforcement. How to design? So, in this way we can design this spacing here. We can calculate it is equal to 0.87 Fy ASV D1. 0.87 Fy ASV into D1 divided by Vu divided by 2.5 plus Tu divided by B1. This is the formula to calculate spacing. So ASV I know, Fy everything I know, Vu is the shear force, the maximum shear force near the support. That value Vu I am taking here, I am not taking here Vu equivalent, Vu I am actually calculating here, and B1 and D1. This we will see what is B1 and D1. If I am facing this type of case, when tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, in any case, we should satisfy one more condition, that is ASV by BSV shall be greater than or equal to tau v equivalent minus tau c divided by 0.87 Fy. ASV divided by VSV shall be greater than or equal to tau v equivalent minus tau c divided by 0.87 Fy. So if I am facing tau v equivalent greater than tau c, we need to apply these two formula. Either we can apply this formula or we can apply this formula. This is the minimum shear reinforcement we need to provide. If you are, suppose your case number first, what we did in the case number first, when tau v is less than tau c, so we use the minimum shear reinforcement ASV divided by BSV shall be greater than or equal to 0.4 divided by 0.87 Fy. This formula we have used. But if your tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, so what we are going to, here also it is tau v equivalent. It is tau v equivalent. So here suppose tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, so what we can do here, we can design this spacing of reinforcement. There also we can design this spacing of reinforcement. Here we can design the spacing of reinforcement, and we can, if suppose whatever the spacing you have provided, suppose this spacing is giving, this formula is giving me spacing, say 200 mm. This formula is giving me spacing, suppose 200 mm, and this formula is giving me spacing, suppose, here also I am interested in calculating the spacing because I need to design the stirrups. Suppose I am providing 8 mm stirrups, 2 laced 8 mm diameter stirrups I am providing. So everything is known to me. I need to calculate only the spacing. So spacing, suppose this formula is giving me 150 mm. First formula is giving me spacing 200 mm and the second formula is giving me the spacing 150 mm. So definitely I will be providing 150 mm. Minimum spacing I want to provide. So here I will be providing 150 mm spacing. I will not provide 200 mm spacing. The minimum of these two, whatever I am getting the spacing value, that I am going to provide in my beam. So this is the second case. In the third case, case number 3, if tau v equivalent is greater than tau c max, right? If tau v equivalent is greater than tau c max, so definitely we need to redesign the section. Redesign the section means we need to provide more reinforcement, more longitudinal reinforcement, or we can increase the grade of the concrete, or we can increase the dimension of the beam also, B and D, right? This ASC minimum and this ASC minimum are different. Okay, let me remove this ASC minimum. If I am facing this type of the case, if I face this type of the case, so in this case, this is the minimum area of reinforcement. That's why I written ASV minimum here. If I face this type of the case where the tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, so in that case, this is the minimum area of stirrups I should provide. And if suppose I am facing this type of the case, in this case, the minimum ASV is this. right? So these three cases we have studied, and now you should ask me what is D1 and what is B1. This is D1 and B1 are not your width of beam or the depth of beam. It is something different. You please note down, then we will see what is D1 and what is B1. Please note down this. Then we will see what is B1 and what is D1. So these cases we have studied. Suppose this is the cross section of one beam. We have provided the reinforcement in the top and the bottom of the beam. Suppose it's the cross section of the beam and we have provided the reinforcement in the top and the bottom of the beam. So the distance, see, suppose this is the width of the beam B. This is the width of the beam B, and this is the total depth, or I can say the effective depth up to here, means up to tensile reinforcement is suppose D. So the distance between these two reinforcement along the depth is D1, and the distance between these two reinforcement along the width is B1. B is the total width of the beam and B1 is the distance between the two reinforcements. This distance is from CG to CG of these two reinforcement along the width, and this D1 is the distance between these two reinforcement along the depth of the beam. Okay? Now suppose I have provided shear stirrups. So B1 and D1 are known to me now. In that formula, we can put B1 and D1 from here. Right? Whatever the effective cover we have provided from there, easily we can calculate B1 and D1. Suppose I have provided shear stirrups. Let's draw this figure. Suppose I have provided the shear stirrups and this is your shear stirrups. So the distance between this leg and this leg, the distance between the CG of this leg and this leg of the shear stirrups is suppose, yeah sir, somebody is asking for break. 1 minute sir, please, within 1 minute we will finish. 1 minute. So this is suppose we have provided the shear stirrups and the distance between the CG of the legs. These are the two legs of the shear stirrups. So the distance between the CG of these legs is suppose x1. And the distance between this to this leg is suppose y1. I think x1 and y1 is clear to you. x1 means the distance between these two vertical legs. It is the center to center distance of the vertical legs of stirrups, and dy1 is the horizontal distance between two CG of these two horizontal legs, right? So the maximum spacing of these stirrups, considering the torsion effect, is the maximum spacing I can write here. It should be less than the maximum spacing should be less than either x1 or x1 plus y1 divided by 4 or 375 mm. So it is 300 mm. So here what we can do, the maximum spacing should be less than x1 plus y1 by 4 or 300 mm. Suppose x1 is giving me 275 mm value, x1 plus y1 divided by 4 is suppose giving me 420 mm, and this is 300 mm. So out of these three, whatever is the minimum value will be provided considering the effect of torsion, right? So minimum of these three I'll be taking as a maximum value for my stirrups. Minimum of these three will be the maximum spacing for the stirrups, right? So whatever the spacing you have calculated considering the three cases, of course third case I will not consider, the redesign section I will not consider. If the first case where tau v is less than tau c or tau v equivalent is greater than tau c, in that case whatever the spacing I will be calculating, that spacing should be less than this spacing, or out of that two, whatever is the minimum spacing that I am going to provide in my beam. So this is the maximum spacing actually, right? So in this way I design my beam considering the effect of torsion. So I know how to provide the reinforcement, longitudinal reinforcement considering the effect of torsion, that already we have discussed. Only I will remove mu by mu equivalent, right? Then I will be calculating the longitudinal reinforcement. If I have to provide the shear reinforcement, so this is the process how I provide the shear reinforcement in my beam. Okay, now we are going to start. Now we will based on this we can solve one problem. Let's read this question. See your PPT. Get 2008 for 2 marks. Please read the question. The question they have given in GATE 2008 for 2 marks, a reinforced concrete beam of rectangular section of width 230 mm. So B they have given 230 mm and the effective depth is 400 mm. Now, and they have given it is subjected to the factored shear force of 120 kilonewton. So your factored shear force is 120 kilonewton, and the grade of concrete and the steel and the stirrups they have given FCK is 20 Newton per mm square. Fy for main reinforcement, that is your longitudinal reinforcement they have given, is 4.5 Newton per mm square. Fy for stirrups they have given, or the shear reinforcement they have given, 250 Newton per mm square. They have given the value of tau c for the provided area of reinforcement is 0.48 Newton per mm square. Right? So this data they have given, and we need to design the beam for limit state of collapse in shear. So the question is, this is the question. They told me B equal to 230 mm, B is this, B is this, grade of steel, grade of concrete is 20 Newton, means M20 grade, and for main reinforcement we are going to use, the steel is 415 Newton per mm square, and for the stirrups we are going to use Fe 250, means 250 Newton per mm square strength. For provided AST, whatever the percentage of AST we have provided, and the grade of concrete, the shear strength of the concrete is 0.48 Newton per mm square. So we need to calculate the spacing of two latched 8 mm stirrups. So first of all, here we will be seeing whether it is the case number first, means tau v is less than tau c, or it is the case number 2, tau v greater than tau c, or it is the case number 3, tau v is greater than tau c max. So definitely if it is the case number 3, tau v is greater than tau c, I need to redesign my section. But let's take, first of all here I should calculate the value of tau v, that is the nominal shear stress. So nominal shear stress formula I know, tau v equal to Vu divided by Bd. So here the factored value of shear force they have given is 120 kilonewton. So 120 into 10 to the power 3 divided by B into D. The effective width they have given, if not effective, it is a effective depth they have given 400 mm and the width is 230 mm. So let's say calculate the value of tau v. The value of tau v is 1.304. I am getting the value of tau v is 1.304. Newton per mm square. 1.304 Newton per mm square. The value of tau c they have given me is 0.48 Newton per mm square. Right? So definitely your tau v is greater than tau c. Tau v is greater than tau c. So here you can observe it is the case number 2, means I need to design shear reinforcement. Here I cannot provide the minimum shear reinforcement. Here I need to design the shear reinforcement. Design shear reinforcement. So shear reinforcement should be designed for VU is equal to VU minus tau c BD. This already we have discussed. So VU I know 120 kilonewton minus the value of VU is means for which I am going to design my stirrups. VU is 120 minus tau c BD. Tau c I know that is 0.48, B is 230 and D is 400. This is in kilonewton. So here I need to multiply by 10 to the power 3. So the equation is 120 into 10 to the power 3 minus 0.48 into 230 into 400. So calculate VUS, and the value of VUS is equal to 75.84 kilonewton. Fine. Yeah, we also need to check for tau c max also. We should check for tau c max also. So definitely the tau c max is equal to 0.62 under root FCK. So if I find 0.62 into under root FCK they have given me 20. Let's calculate. The value of tau c max is 2.8. It is nearly equal to 2.8 Newton per mm square. So this is the tau c max, 2.8 Newton per mm square. So definitely your tau v 1.304 is less than 2.8, means no need to design the redesign the section. Right? No need to redesign the section. So here I am getting the design shear force is 75.84 kilonewton. Can I calculate the spacing? Yes, we can calculate the spacing here. Spacing, I know the formula. The formula is VUS equal to 0.87 FY ASV into D divided by SV. Where SV is the spacing. And my question is, calculate the spacing for two legs. So VU is known, so SV I can calculate here, and VUS is 75.84 into 10 to the power 3 Newton, and it is 0.87. Fi here I am putting 250 because we need to use grade 250 Newton per mm square in the case of stirrups. For the main reinforcement they have given 415, and for the stirrups they have given 250. ASV is the area of stirrups, and here we are going to provide two laced 8 mm dia stirrups. So here I can write 2 into pi by 4 8 square, and the effective depth they have given me 400 mm. So this is the formula. So from here I can calculate the spacing, and spacing I am getting, it is equal to 115 mm. Spacing I am getting 115.3 mm. My answer is 115 mm, option B. Option B is the answer for this question. Spacing is B. Please solve this question. Now, let's solve one more problem for the same data. Get 2008, again for 2 marks, same for the same data. In addition, suppose the beam is subjected to a torque whose factored value is 10.90, means TU this time they have given. The same beam now this time is subjected to the torsional moment of 10.90 kilonewton meter. The stirrups have to be provided to carry a shear is equal to. Now we need to find the shear force for which we are going to design the shear stirrups, right? So let's start the calculation considering the effect of torsion of 10.90 kilonewton meter. Here, first of all, we need to find tau V equivalent. So, shear force they have given me. Shear force value they have given me is 120 kilonewton. Torsional moment they have given me. Torsional moment they have given me 10.90 kilonewton meter. So, first of all, I will be calculating. So, according to the next problem, we are going to discuss the GATE problem 2008 for 2 marks. In addition, the beam is subjected to the torque of 10.90 kilonewton meter and the shear force already they have given is 120 kilonewton. So, first of all, here I will be calculating the equivalent shear force, and the equivalent shear force formula I know. The equivalent shear force is equal to VU plus 1.6 TU divided by B. Right, so the formula is 120 into 1.6 into 10.90. Width of the beam is given 230. So here I will be writing in meter 0.23. So the total equivalent shear force is equal to 195.83 kilonewton. This is the total equivalent shear force considering the effect of torsion. Let's calculate the equivalent shear stresses. The equivalent shear stresses are equal to VU equivalent divided by BD. This is the formula to calculate equivalent shear stresses. I already calculated VU equivalent. Here I can put D I know. So I am able to calculate the equivalent shear stresses in the beam, and it is equal to 195.83 into 10 to the power 3 divided by B. They have given me 230 mm and the effective depth is given is 400 mm, right? So, we can calculate the value of tau V equivalent is 2.128, or I can write here 2.129 Newton per mm square. 2.129 Newton per mm square. I know the formula of design shear stress. So definitely I got the value of tau equivalent is 2.129 Newton per mm square, and the available shear strength of concrete tau C is equal to 0.48 Newton per mm square. So here I am getting tau V is greater than tau C. Here I am getting the tau V equivalent is greater than tau C, means I need to design my shear stirrups and I can design my shear stirrups. VU is equal to, I need to design my shear stirrups for the shear force equal to VS equal to tau V minus tau C into BD. Tau V minus tau C into BD. So here I can write tau V value I know is 2.129 minus tau C they have given me 0.48. B I know that is 230 and D is 400. If I calculate, I am getting the value 151.708 kilonewton. This is the value I am getting here. For this particular value, I need to design my shear stirrups. So the value of shear stirrups, the shear stirrups shall be designed to carry the shear force of 151.708 kilonewton. So your answer is C. That is 151.67 kilonewton. This is the answer. Please note down. Now we are going to start. So till now we have discussed the limit state of collapse in fracture. We have discussed the limit state of collapse in shear, and also we have discussed the limit state of collapse in torsion. Now we are going to discuss, here only we are going to discuss development length and the bond strength. So let's start. So our new topic is bond stress and development length. Bond stress and development length. What is actually the bond stress? Bond stress means the stresses acting in the concrete which is surrounding to the stirrups. If I consider the bond strength, means it is the strength by which concrete holds the steel. This is the bond strength between the concrete and steel is called the bond strength. See, let's suppose this is the beam. This is the beam, suppose, and this is the reinforcement. I am applying one load, so definitely it will bend in the sagging form, and I will be getting this type of figure. And I have provided the reinforcement in the bottom of the beam below the neutral axis. Below the neutral axis means it will be taking all the tensile stresses. Below the neutral axis, I am considering my concrete to be cracked. As per the crack section theory, all the tensile stresses will be taken by steel only. The tensile strength of the concrete below the neutral axis will be ignored. So what I am going to do here, all the tensile stresses is taken by steel only. If suppose I am taking one section in the beam, suppose the distance is dx. So in the previous lecture also we have discussed, there is an imbalancing bending moment between these two sections. Suppose the bending moment is here m, definitely it will be here m plus dm, right? So here I will be getting the force in the reinforcement. Suppose this is your reinforcement of length dx. At this end, due to this bending moment m, I am getting the tensile force T, and due to this bending moment m plus dm, I am getting the tensile force T plus dt. So what actually I want to explain here, there is an imbalancing dt force, and this imbalancing dt force is nothing but will be taken by concrete as a shear stresses. This already we have discussed, and the shear stresses in the concrete which is surrounding to the reinforcement act as a bond stresses. It will give the strength, or it will be like a stress between the concrete and the steel. It's called the bond stresses which are surrounding to the steel reinforcement. If suppose the stresses are tau bd, suppose I am writing these stresses, these stresses are the shear stresses actually, but these stresses are surrounding to the steel and taking the bonding with the steel. That's why I am calling it as a shear stresses, but in the form of bond, so the bond stresses. Suppose I am denoting it by tau bd. So here I am writing this tau bd is the developed shear stresses, right? Tau bd is the shear stresses, and in the terms of force, it can be written as tau bd into width of the beam into dx. Across the width of the beam and along the length of dx, we can apply the force tau bd b into dx. In the previous lecture also we have discussed this, and this force which is acting in this direction are equal to this additional force dt. So here I can write this imbalancing tensile force dt is equal to tau bd into b into dx. This is the imbalancing force. Here tau bd I can write developed shear stresses. Here I can write tau bd is your developed shear stresses, right? So please note down this. So we can see here the dt, this dt will cause this additional bending moment is causing this dt. So we can write here dm is equal to dt into lever arm, right? dm equal to dt into lever arm, and I know my dt is equal to tau bd into b into dx. So what I am going to do here, I can write dm is equal to tau bd developed into B into dx into lever arm. This I can write there. So if I write dm by dx equal to tau BD develop into lever arm into B. So I can write here tau BD equal to tau BD develop equal to this dm by ds is nothing here but your shear force. So here shear force divided by B into lever arm. Right? Your shear force divided by B into lever arm. But I know here the shear stresses, the bond stresses are acting. These bond stresses are acting on the periphery of the reinforcement, means in the concrete which is surrounding to the reinforcement, there these bond stresses are acting. So here the width of the beam cannot be taken. Here I need to consider the width of that area surrounding reinforcement. The area of reinforcement I should consider. The perimeter of the reinforcement shall be considered in the place of B. This B is not the width of the beam, right? Because this tau BD I am considering which are acting in the concrete which is surrounding to the reinforcement. So that perimeter of the reinforcement shall be considered as a B. If suppose I know the perimeter of reinforcement, is pi phi. So I can write here perimeter equal to pi phi, but suppose n number of reinforcement you have provided. Suppose n number of reinforcement you have provided, so total perimeter means B I can write as a n pi phi. So in the place of B I can write n pi phi. So now the formula for tau BD develop is available with me is tau BD develop equal to V divided by n pi phi into lever arm. So this is the developed bond stresses in the concrete which is present surrounding to the steel, right? Please note down this. This is a very important formula. This is actually stresses which are coming due to the external loads, due to the external moments, due to the imbalancing moments. These are coming into the picture. It's called the developed bond stresses. These developed bond stresses, tau BD develop, should be less than tau BD permissible. So we should know here what is the value. I know how to calculate tau BD develop, means developed bond stresses. This is the bond strength of the concrete. So how to calculate this bond strength of the concrete, which is we have presented tau BD permissible. So let's say calculate the tau BD permissible. Tau BD develop already we have discussed. This is the formula for tau BD develop. Let's see tau BD permissible. How to calculate this tau BD permissible? In the IS code, the value of tau BD permissible, means the bond strength of the concrete is given for different grade of concrete, and we are going to write those values here. These values are given in Newton per mm square. For different grade of the concrete, there are different values of tau BD, and very important notice I am going to write here. Notice these values of tau BD tau BD permissible are given for plain reinforcement. Plain reinforcement means mild steel. Plain reinforcement means mild steel in tension zone. In tension zone. If you want to calculate the tau BD for HYSD bars, see these values are for, suppose in the beam we people are using the grade of steel is Fe 250 and we are providing this reinforcement in the tension zone. So there the strength of the concrete, the bond strength of the concrete will be these values depending upon the grade of concrete. But suppose I am going to provide HYSD bars in my beam, so what should be the value of tau BD? So here we can write the given values shall be increased by 60% for HYSD bars. HYSD may be your Fe 415 or Fe 500 for HYSD bars in tension zone. Right? So in the tension zone, suppose we have provided HYSD, so these values shall be increased by 60%. Means your, suppose I am talking about M20, right? So for M20, I can write here for M20 grade of concrete, if I am going to provide HYSD bars in the tension zone, so tau BD value will be 1.2 into, I am going to increase 60% strength of the concrete, that is 1.6. 1.6 means I have increased the value 60 times. I will be getting the value 1.92 Newton per mm square. So this should be the bond strength of the concrete will be used if I am using HYSD bars. If I am using HYSD bars in the tension zone. Now somebody should ask me, sir, if you are using the reinforcement in the compression zone, so what should be the bond strength? So my answer is, if I am providing the compression, providing the reinforcement in the compression zone, then the strength of the bond strength of the concrete shall be increased by 25%. Let me write here, for compression reinforcement, the given values of tau BD permissible shall be increased by 25%. Shall be increased by 25%. Right? Please note down this. So for example, suppose M20 we are using, M20 grade of concrete we are using, and I have provided mild steel in compression reinforcement. My steel is mild steel and I have provided this reinforcement in the compression zone. So what should be the value of tau BD permissible? So what I am going to do here, compression reinforcement in the mild steel. So for M20, tau BD permissible will be 1.2 into 1.25. This should be the tau BD permissible, is the value of tau BD permissible in the compression zone. Right? Suppose I have provided HYSD bar in the compression zone for the same M20 grade. So in this situation, see here I have used Fe 250 in compression. If suppose I am going to provide HYSD bars in the compression zone, so I need to increase the value 2 times. For the HYSD bars, I will be increasing 60%, and for the compression reinforcement, I will be increasing 25%. So here I can write 1.2 into 60%. Let me increase the 60%. This 60% for HYSD bars, and let me increase one more time 25%, and this 25% is for compression reinforcement, and this 1.2 is the bond strength of plain reinforcement in the tension zone for M20 grade of concrete. So this should be the value of bond strength of the concrete in the compression zone if I am providing HYSD bar. So this is for Fe 415 or Fe 500 in compression zone. Okay, so in this way I calculate tau BD permissible. I have calculated tau BD developed means the bond stresses I have calculated, which are coming due to the external loads or the external moments. And then now we have calculated tau BD permissible also, which is the shear strength, means the bond strength of the concrete. Depends upon the different grade of steel as well as the grade of concrete, right? Please note down this fast. In any case, your tau BD developed shall not exceed tau BD permissible, right? Means the stresses should be less than strength. TMT bar is also HYSD. Somebody is asking the question. Vinay is asking the question for TMT bar. TMT bar is also the HYSD bar. We already discussed when we have discussed type of reinforcement. So TMT is also HYSD bar. For that case, we also need to increase 60% strength. If it is in tension, if it is in compression, we need to increase 2 times. One is 60% and second is 25%. Right? So we will solve the one problem. We should always know that tau BD developed should be less than tau BD permissible. Means stresses should be less than strength. Okay. So I have one problem. Let's solve this. Suppose I have one beam of width 300 mm and the overall depth is 500 mm. AST we have provided 2 bars of 25 mm diameter. This is 2 bars of 25 mm diameter. And it is subjected to the factored shear force of 131.25 kilonewton. Suppose the factored shear force is 131.25 kilonewton. And this is your suppose AST limit. Means for the balance section, this value AST is for the balance section. This AST we have calculated for the balance section. AST limit 2 bars of 25 mm diameter. Question is, and the grade of steel is suppose M25 and grade of steel is 415, Fe415. Grade of concrete is M25 and grade of steel is Fe415. The question is, check the bond strength and stress. Means we need to check your stresses are less than or greater than bond strength. We need to check, right? Is your beam safe in the bond or not? So let's check. First of all, we will be calculating bond stresses, which is equal to tau BD develop. So I know the formula tau BD develop is equal to shear force divided by n pi phi into lever arm. Right? The VU is suppose equal to, they have given the value 131.25 kilonewton. So here I can write in Newton, that is 131.25 into 10 to the power 3. Then what I am going to do here, N is the number of reinforcement, that is 2, pi is 3.14 I can take, the phi is the diameter of the bar, that is 25, and the lever arm. The lever arm for the limiting session, I know it is D minus 0.42 XU. So I can write D, they have given. Suppose D, you can take this D, suppose effective depth. Suppose this D is a effective depth 500 mm. So we can write here D I know that is 500 minus 0.42 and limiting value I can take here easily. XU limit that is for Fe415 is 0.48 into D. D is again 500. So here I am getting the lever arm equal to 399.2 Newton per mm square. Oh sorry, it is a lever arm, so it will be in mm. This lever arm I can write here, it is 399.2. Right? In this way I have calculated the lever arm, suppose, the limiting value suppose I have taken. We can take the actual value also D minus 0.42 XU. This XU we can take from C equal to T. But for easy calculation, just I am taking the limiting values. Just for easy calculation, I am taking the limiting values. So D minus 0.42 into 0.48. 500 So I am getting the value 399.2. Let's calculate the tau BD develop. So value of tau BD develop is, the value of tau BD develop I am getting 2.094 Newton per mm square. Right? This is the tau BD develop. I got the value 2.094 Newton per mm square. Now let's calculate the tau BD permissible. Means these are the stresses which are coming due to the external load tau BD develop. This is bond stresses. Now let's calculate bond strength. Given in the IS code, I know tau BD permissible for M25. For M25, you have written the values. That is 1.4. So it is 1.4, but it is for mild steel. I have provided Fe415. So here I need to increase this strength by 60%. Okay, and this reinforcement I have provided in the bottom, means in the tension zone. So no need to multiply by 1.25, means no need to increase this strength by 25%, because this reinforcement 2 bars of 25 mm diameter I am going to provide in the tensile zone. So here I am getting the strength is 2.24 Newton per mm square. Right? So tau BD permissible. So here I am getting tau BD permissible is greater than tau BD develop. That means whatever the beam you have designed is okay in the bond stress, right? But the problem is the values are very close. It is nearly equal to this value. The value of bond stress is nearly equal to 2.1 Newton per mm square, and it is very close to the 2.24. Right? So what I need to do, suppose I want to decrease the bond stresses. Means suppose right now it is in the safe condition, but the values are very close. I want to make this beam more safer. So what I am going to do here, if I want to decrease the shear stresses, means bond stresses, suppose I want to decrease here, what I need to do here, I will increase the diameter of number of bars. What I am going to do here, I will increase the number of bars and will decrease the diameter of bar. I will provide the same total area of the cross section, the total area of the reinforcement will be same, but I will provide more number of bars with the lesser diameter. Let's solve one problem. See, for this particular case, I am getting 2.1 Newton per mm square. Okay, let's see if suppose here I have provided 2 bars of 25 mm diameter. 2 bars of 25 mm diameter. Let's say provide. See what is the total AST we have provided here? Total AST we can calculate. 2 bars of 25 mm diameter means pi by 4, 25 square. So total bars is, total AST we have provided is 981.25 mm square. This is the total AST we have provided. Let's say provide 12 mm diameter, means we have reduced the dia of bar. So calculate the number of reinforcement. So the number of reinforcement, suppose number of reinforcement required for 12 mm diameter is pi by 4 total AST, that is 981.25 mm square divided by pi by 4 12 square, means we are going to provide 12 mm diameter bars and the total AST is 981.25. The number of bars required is 8.68. 8.68 means I will be providing 9 bars. Total I will be providing 9 bars suppose of 12 mm diameter. Now let's calculate tau BD develop for 9 bars of 12 mm diameter. So see here, I am again calculating tau BD develop here, which is your bond stresses. Vu is same, 131.25 into 10 to the power 3 divided by, this time I am not providing 2 bars of 25 mm diameter bar. This time I am providing 9 bars of 12 mm diameter. So here N pi 5 means N is 9, pi is 3.14, phi is 12, and the lever arm I have calculated, that is 399.2. Let's calculate tau BD develop. This time I am getting it's 0.97 Newton per mm square. So your tau BD develop here is 0.97 Newton per mm square, and the tau BD permissible I have is equal to 2.24 Newton per mm square. So one thing I can tell here, one thing I want to suggest here, if I increase number of bars and decrease the diameter of bar, so I can make the tau BD develop to be less than the tau BD permissible, right? So in this way, I can control the bond stresses in the concrete. I know whatever the stresses are coming, whatever the bond stresses are coming, that should be less than the bond strength. If in any case, suppose I am facing the problem that your bond stresses are more than the bond strength, what I need to do here, if I want to control the bond stresses in my beam, so I should increase the number of bars and I should decrease the diameter of bar. I will be providing the same amount of reinforcement. Total area of the reinforcement will be remain same. Here also I have provided the same reinforcement, but the number of bars I have increased and the diameter of bars I have decreased. So let's solve one problem based on this concept. See, here it is very safe, 0.97 and 2.24. So we have make it more safer side. It's a more safer side, right? So you always try to reduce the diameter of bar and want to increase the number of bars. Get 2008. Please see, you people, please see your PPT. Get 2008 for 1 mark. The concept is important. That's why I have solved this problem for you. Please give me answer for this particular question. Get 2008 for 1 mark. Yes, your answer is B. One student from Raipur gave the answer. Yes, it is correct. We are going to provide more number of bars with the lesser diameter, right? So in this way, we can control the bond stresses. Okay. Now, in this way, I can prepare my beam and I can make it safe. Okay, in the bond stresses. So till now we have discussed what is bond stress and how we can control the bond stress. Bond strength also we have studied, and we have seen, suppose we have provided the reinforcement in the tensile zone, then we need to increase the bond strength by 60%, and if we are providing the reinforcement in the compression zone, then we need to increase the strength of the bond strength of the concrete by 25%. And the values given in the IS code is for different grade of concrete, but for plain steel, means the mild steel in the tension zone. So tau BD permissible, how to calculate that I know. Tau BD develop, how to calculate that also we have studied. Now we have also checked tau BD permissible should be greater than or equal to tau BD develop. In any case, I will not allow the tau BD develop greater than tau BD permissible. If I am facing the problem of tau BD develop greater than tau BD permissible, what I do, if I want to control the bond stresses, I will increase the number of bars and will decrease the diameter of bars. So let's start now the development length. We have studied the bond stresses. Let's discuss development length. What is development length actually? See, suppose this is the one concrete block and I have provided one reinforcement of grade F5. This is the concrete block. And I have provided one reinforcement bar of diameter 5 in the grade F5. And suppose I am pulling with the force P. I am pulling my steel. This is the steel. Let me draw. This is the steel. I am pulling with the force P. That means I am applying one axial force in the reinforcement. So the value of P will be, .87 Fy, a force AST, and the AST is your diameter of bar, pi by 4, phi square, right? For P equal to 0.87 Fy, pi by 4, phi square. This is the value P through by which I am pulling my steel, right? If suppose I am pulling this reinforcement with this force P, so there should be strength in the concrete which can hold this steel and will not allow to pull it out, right? Suppose I am pulling with the force, say 50 kilonewton. Suppose I am pulling this reinforcement with the force of 50 kilonewton, there should be strength in the concrete which can resist this 50 kilonewton. And that strength is nothing but your bond strength. Because already we have studied the bond strength is the strength of the concrete the strength of the concrete between the concrete and the steel, by which it holds the steel. Right? So what I need to do here, if suppose I am pulling with a 50 kilonewton load, there should be strength in the opposite direction in the concrete which can take this 50 kilonewton load and will not allow this steel to be pulled out. Right? So suppose I am pulling with the force P equal to 0.87 F5 pi by 4 phi square. This P equal to stress into area. The stress is 0.87 F5 and the area is pi by 4 phi square. So due to the strength of the bond strength of concrete, forces are acting in the opposite direction. The bond stress permissible, I know, that is tau BD developed. So in the opposite direction, suppose the force is acting, opposite direction the force is acting in the between the concrete and the steel is suppose F. And this F is nothing but equal to tau BD develop, tau BD permissible, which is the strength of concrete, the bond strength of concrete, into over this distance it is acting. Suppose I am denoting this strength. This length is a LD. This length from here to the here is suppose LD because only this distance the strength is coming into the picture. Right? The stresses along the steel, on the periphery of the steel between the concrete and the steel are acting along this length only. LD. So total force acting in the opposite direction is tau BD permissible into LD and the periphery of the reinforcement, that is pi phi. If I want to make it safe, means this force which are through which I am pulling this steel and the strength of concrete which are applying the force in the opposite direction should be equal. So let's put F equal to P. So tau BD permissible into development length. This LD is called development length. This is the minimum length. This is the minimum length required here so that nobody can pull this reinforcement out from the concrete. So tau BD permissible into LD into pi phi put equal to 0.87 Fy pi by 4 phi square. Okay, so here I can see from phi to 1 phi is cancelled, from pi to 1 pi is cancelled. So I am getting here the formula for development length equal to 0.87 Fy phi divided by 4 tau BD permissible. So this is the formula for the development length. This is the formula for development length. This is the formula for development length and this is the minimum length we need to provide in the RCC sections. Right? Please note down this. So where we are going to provide this development length, suppose there is a beam column junction. In the beam column junction, we generally provide this development length. Suppose building is there, we provide development length from the face of the column up to here. This distance shall not be less than development length. See, we can see here in the column, suppose there is a continuous column in the beam we are providing. This is the column of upper floor and this is the column for the lower floor. We can see here, we can take generally the reinforcement of beam into the column to make it as a fixed support. Right? We generally take the reinforcement of the beam into the column to make it as a fixed support. So what will happen here? So up to what distance we can take the reinforcement of beam into the column. So that distance is equal to, the distance is equal to development length. And we calculate the development length from the face of the column. Generally we calculate the development length, we measure the development length from the face of the column. Suppose I am calculating the development length equal to 300 mm or 400 mm. So from face of the column to the 400 mm, I should provide my development length. Means I should take the reinforcement of the beam into the column up to the distance of 400 mm from the face of the column. So this is the use of development length. If suppose we want to design the earthquake resistant structures, in that case we take the reinforcement of the beam into the column equal to, up to the distance equal to LD plus 10 phi. Generally it is given in the ductile detailing code IS 13920. There it is mentioned, if you want to design earthquake resistant structures and you want to do the ductile detailing, in that case, we generally take the reinforcement of the beam into the column up to the distance of development length plus 10 phi. Plus 10 phi. Where phi is the diameter of the bar. But here it is not useful because you are not going to use any ductile detailing code here. We are not going to use the design of earthquake resistant structure, right? So in this case, the development length we can study. So this is the development length. I know how to calculate tau BD permissible for the different grades of steel and for the different condition. Suppose you are providing the tension reinforcement. Suppose you are provided the tension reinforcement HYSD, so we need to increase by 60%. Suppose we are provided in the compression zone HYSD, so we need to increase 2 times. First is for HYSD 60%, and for the compression reinforcement we need to increase by 25%. So let's solve the problem based on this. Let's see the problem as in the GATE 2015. Let's solve one problem. Please see your PPT. The question came in GATE 2015, very fresh question for 1 mark. The development length of a deformed bar. Deformed bar we know it is HYSD bar. Deformed bar, it may be a cold, twisted deformed bar. It is also called HYSD bar. It is also called TMT. It is a type of one reinforcement which is your HYSD. So they have given calculate the development length for a deformed reinforcement bar, and it is expressed as they have given 1 by K something something. From the IS 456, the value of K can be calculated as. Vinay is giving the answer 5 approximately. Sir, if you write the 5 approximately, it will be wrong. Please try to calculate exact value. How do you people are calculating 4.597, 4.6, 4 point something something? See, what they have given actually. See, sigma S, yeah, I understood what is the problem here. You know what is sigma S? No, 4 is also not the answer. Somebody is writing the answer 4. 4 is also not the answer. This 0.87 Fy is your sigma S. Means this is the design stresses in my reinforcement. This 0.87 Fy is the design stresses in my reinforcement. Right? So you write the formula 0.87 Fy phi divided by 4 tau BD. If the same formula I am writing here, so I can write here LD equal to sigma S into phi divided by 4 tau BD permissible. I can write this formula here. They have given, see, I know tau BD permissible in the code they have given for mild steel in the tension zone. They have given this tau BD value permissible, this value they have given for mild steel, plain reinforcement. But here he is asking for HYSD bars. So what I am going to do here, I am going to multiply. I need to increase the strength by 60%. Right? So if answer is 6.4. Somebody has given answer is 6.4. So what I am going to do here, sigma S into phi divided by 4 and the tau BD I am going to increase by 60%, means I am going to multiply by 1.6 into tau BD permissible for HYSD. Now it has become for HYSD bar. So same sigma S into phi divided by 6.4 into tau BD permissible. So the value of K definitely become equal to 6.4. So your answer is 6.4. Sir, in the question, somebody is asking how do we know it is a HYSD bar? Sir, in the question, the first line only they have given the development length of a deformed reinforcement. Deformed means HYSD only. HYSD means what is the full form of HYSD? High yield strength deformed bars. How do we find the HYSD? What we have done to get the HYSD? All the HYSD are essentially mild steel. First, what we did, we have stretched our reinforcement after the yield plateau. In my first class, I have discussed. We make it deformed. After the yield plateau, we stretch the reinforcement and we get the HYSD from the mild steel reinforcement only. So essentially, initially, all the type of the reinforcement are mild steel only. So your deformed bar means your HYSD or TMT. Fine. So your answer is 6.4 here. Let's solve one more problem. The question is actually incomplete. Please see your question. Read the question. The question is incomplete. Let me make it complete. the development length LD in terms of phi. In terms of phi. Get 2003 for 1 mark. So in terms of phi, can we calculate in the terms of phi? The development length in the terms of phi. So let's calculate in terms of phi. So LD is equal to the development length equal to 0.87 Fy phi divided by 4 tau BD. This is my formula, and here suggested the value of tau BD is 1.2 for M20, means they have given for mild still right now, and it should be increased by 60% for HOSD. So definitely I am going to write 0.87 into 415 into phi divided by 4 into tau BD. I can write here 1.2 they have given, and it should be increased by 1.6. It should be increased by 60%, right? So 4 tau BD I have written. All the values are given to me. In the terms of phi I can calculate, and I am getting the answer is nearly equal to 47 phi. So the answer is 47. Yeah, Raipur student got the answer 47. Good. So it is very easy to crack the gate. If you know the formula, if you know the concept, easily you can crack the gate. Nobody can stop you. And you can score very good marks. Maybe in the 100. You can get the rank within the 100. Right? Can I hope? So, let's solve one more problem. Get 2011 for 2 marks. Please read the question. Then the remaining part I will show you. This is the remaining part. I will show you. Please read the question first. So they have given me one concrete block. And one steel bar is embedded in it. Okay, one steel bar is embedded, and we are pulling this steel bar with the force P. The stresses which are acting in the upward direction, means in the concrete, is sigma B. Means the bond strength of the concrete they have given is sigma B, and sigma ST, the force is applying the stresses, and that is suppose your sigma ST. The question is, if the block is held in the position and it is assumed that the material of the block does not fail the position, which of the following option represent the maximum value of P? Please write down on the note. Please notice which of the following options represent the maximum value of P, so that your steel should not come out from the concrete. Your concrete, this member should be in stable condition. What should be the maximum value I can apply here, so that your P should not come out? Suppose, let me explain very clearly. If sigma B is suppose can take 100 Newton per mm square. Right? Suppose 100 Newton per mm square. So sigma ST should be 100 Newton per mm square. To make it in a stable condition or in a equilibrium condition, it should be equal to 100 Newton per mm square. That means this sigma ST becomes its maximum value. Right? This has become the maximum value. Now read the question. You have already read the question. Please solve this. 4 options are there. Which one is the correct option? To make it in a equilibrium condition, we want this force, means the bond strength of the concrete, nearly equal to the stresses or the force by which we are pulling the steel. This should be equal, right? So what is your answer? Please read the question carefully. I want the maximum value of P. I want the maximum value of P. I know how I am putting the P. P is equal to 0.87 Fy pi by 4 phi square. here they have given the value sigma st. So stress is sigma st into pi by 4 phi square. These are the force. The P equal to this force. Suppose the stresses are acting in upward direction. So definitely in the upward direction the force F was acting and is equal to tau BD. Tau BD is the strength they have given in the terms of sigma B. This tau BD they have given in the terms of sigma B. See sigma B into, they have given the L length. Over this L length, the diameter is D into pi phi. Pi phi is the diameter, they have given D. Right? Stress into this circumferential area. Right? So stress into area, the force is acting downward and this force sigma is the pi by 4 phi square. They have given the diameter of bath is D, so we can write here D square. So this is acting downward. If suppose the value of force, what is the situation we want? You read this question carefully. Last 3 lines, if the block is held in the position, means block should be in the equilibrium condition. Block should be stable. The concrete should not fail, the steel should not fail, means the steel should not come out from this block. Suppose the value of F, for example, the value of F I am getting 50 Newton and the value of P I am getting say 70 Newton. Right? The value of P I am getting 70 Newton and the value of F, suppose I am getting 50 Newton. Now I am starting pulling my steel. The force I started with 10 Newton. I am pulling, it is not failing. Then I increase to 20 Newton. Again I am increasing. Now 30 Newton I am pulling. With the 30 Newton load I am pulling. Now 40 with the 40 Newton load I am pulling. Now 50 Newton. Now 60 Newton. And when I am pulling with the 70 Newton, immediately it will fail. Sorry. When I am pulling with the 40 Newton, and I increase again the load up to the 50 Newton, so immediately it will fail. The block will not be in its original position. It will not be in the stable condition, right? So what is the value of P I should apply here? That is 50. Means minimum of these two, right? This suppose the value is 50. This is suppose the 70. Out of these two, whatever is the minimum value, that should be I should apply. So I saw at the 50, if I apply the 50, immediately the concrete collapse because the bond stresses exceed bond strength at this 50 Newton. If I am to make this block in a stable condition, the maximum load can be applied P equal to 50 Newton only. We cannot apply 70 Newton because in the 50 Newton only it will break. Because here tau BD develop exceed tau BD permissible. So the maximum value of P is equal to minimum of these two. So your answer should be C. Your answer should be C. Out of these two forces, the minimum of these two will be the maximum value of P. Okay, so your answer is C. The answer should be C. Is it clear? Now let's solve one more problem. Then we will finish. Get 1996 for 1 mark. Get 1996 for 1 mark. Please solve the question. Give me an answer. Yeah, while calculating development length, they have given their deformed bars. So deformed bars are we can take Fe 500 also. If they are mentioning take Fe 500, then we will take. Otherwise, normally we will be taking Fe 415. Actually, this is their limitation, or we can say their mistake. They should have given the value of grade of steel also. By telling only the consider HYSD, we can take Fe 415, we can take Fe 500. So, first of all, we will try to take the Fe 415 only. Until and unless they have not mentioned. If they are mentioning take Fe 500, then we will be considering Fe 500. Otherwise, for HYSD, we will be considering Fe 415 only. So now, for this get 1996 for 1 mark, the answer is, actually, this question is wrong. See, we know the formula of development length, it is actually equal to sigma st into phi divided by 4 tau bd. If you are talking about the tensile reinforcement, definitely it will be 0.87 Fi. If it is in the compression reinforcement, we know how to calculate F of SC in the doubly reinforced beam. We have calculated the stresses in the compression reinforcement. So sigma st will be F of SC. 4 tau bd. If suppose there is a 4 tau bd means sigma st into phi divided by 4 into this tau bd is the strength of concrete for plane reinforcement in the tension. But he is asking for compression. So here we need to multiply by tau bd by 0.125. We need to increase by 1.25. We need to increase by 1.25 tau bd. And he has also not mentioned the grade. So we are considering the mild steel only. So here we can write sigma st into phi divided by 5 tau bd. This should be your correct answer. Okay? It is not given in the option. Right? This is your correct answer.